Hello and welcome to episode 16 of our Timberborn 1.1 Iron Teeth hard mode playthrough on Timberpunk 2, Cycle 14, Day 1. Boy oh boy, are there so many things that we still need to do. It never ends. It truly never ends. Let's hit pause, go over some of the most pressing items based on your comments, and get to what we need to get to. So, this unstable core, right here, the subject of much consternation and much debate in the comments. It's going to go off in 0.6 days, and it's going to allow these two bad water sources to effectively combine, and also give us a little bit of a avenue for this water here, and whatever shows up here at some point in the future to leave via that direction. So, let's peel this back, and I do want to talk about this, like, for some reason it just keeps coming up. But on this level, level 15, which is the level of these levees here, the only thing that I could possibly see causing an issue for this is that when this goes off, this extra bad water here is going to slosh into the crater, and then some may spill over here. But this is already, right here, taller than the water level on this side, so it really shouldn't be a thing to come over here. The main danger with this going off is that when these things, if I can remember where they are, these bad water sources here, whenever those eventually do go off, that water, whatever does not flow off the side of the map, is going to come over here eventually and possibly cause an issue with this. But I really don't think it's going to be that bad with all the other places it can go off. But we do need to acknowledge that this is a thing, and there could be some sort of adverse effect occurring here. I just don't think it's going to be that bad. This throttling valve is currently set to 1.99 cubic meters per second. Should be okay, because we know this is a manageable amount coming down here, and that will reduce some of the danger of this pulling up here. But I do need to address it, or else it's just going to continue to be a thing. Regarding these valves down here in the middle, there's several people who think this is not a good setup. And, you know, you're probably right to some degree. But presently, this does work most of the way that I want it to. I do want to eventually replace this with another valve down here. Somebody suggested a throttling valve instead of a fill valve. I'm not entirely sure that's the best way to go about doing it, but I can't really see any reason not to. It's just that, you know, the whole, this takes treated planks, and we only have a few of these. And this is more of a constant release into a given area versus a fill valve that just kind of goes until it reaches the very, very top. Or you can set it to unlimited, and then it will go beyond the top. Again, it's just one of those things that I kind of hesitate to say is a required, absolutely, if you don't do this, you're going to die thing. But I do want to redo this area to a certain degree as well. Someone else left a comment saying that we should put in a discharge over here, and that is absolutely a good idea, just to keep this filled up. But overall, this aquifer drill and this one working together to keep this area mostly full, and by proxy here and here, without anything evaporating from or being pumped from these affecting this, I think it's fine. Sure, it's not the most beautiful setup ever, and it's probably not the most efficient thing ever, but remember, we're playing on, like, super apocalypse death map, right? Not everything's going to be perfect. That's just how it goes. This area definitely could use a boost in terms of water coming in, and that is why, since this is currently cordoned off on its own thing, automatically filling, I do think I am going to listen to those of you saying, hey, we need to put tunnels in here, and try to get that going as soon as we can. The main problem is science. Which, you know, we do have enough science to do this right now. We do not have extract. We do have extract available in various places. And I see, at one point I knew where this was. There's 28 in here, and I think that is in the back of this little cathedral area, as somebody dubbed it. Or it could be, here it is. In this reserve tank, which at one point we had a decent way to access. But we removed these stairs, and now we'll have to come in from the top. Not a super hard thing. We just have to, at some point, do that. Just going to be what it's going to be. I have to remove the natural overhang, and then we stairs or ladders all the way down here. Again, not a huge deal. So, it's on the list of stuff we can do, but for that reason, I'm not going to, you know, stop everything to make that happen just because as soon as I start doing that, problems start happening, and then nobody enjoys that. What we should go ahead and do is probably unpause this lumber mill, because it is a temperate season. Get these guys making more planks up here, because we do eventually want to get this geothermal engine connected. We want to build paths on top of power shafts, or vice versa, depending on the area. And as I've said many, many, many times, we just need planks. So it is what it is. We also have stuff happening down here with this industrial lumber mill, but like I've said, we don't currently have enough logs to really justify doing this to any greater degree, and we're working on improving it. That's why I started putting this irrigation thing in. We're planting some more, I almost said pine trees, oak trees, and generally improving things, but as you know, it does just take time. I guess I probably should just go ahead and commit to doing most of the rest of this. It's just one of those things. So many things just fall through the cracks because, well, that's just kind of how this goes. I should not commit to this being done now, but I am going to follow a suggestion you guys left in the comments, and that is to utilize the priorities a little bit more. I'm going to deprioritize these platforms going in, and what these are going to do is give us access to these pines over here. Is there a better way to do it? Probably. The way this is currently set up, no. But this is going to, once I move this lumberjack flag out of the way, give us a walkway over here. This pine will have to be removed so we can put a staircase or a ladder in, but we do have the ledge logging mod that allows us to do that. And then we have, what is this going to be, like another 8 trees we can get pine resin from. And as we start filling this area in with additional terrain blocks, then this will make a whole lot more sense. But we'll get there. Just have to trust the process. So, outside of that, we're going to continue dynamiting these things down. I did see someone leave a comment asking why we're going to do that, because the bad water is going to infect things. Well, we can't get bad water through here ever again. And one of the near-term projects I would like to do is to seal these things off behind the magical, whatever you want to call it. That is one of those things that, of course, will take the time that it takes. But when that happens, we're not really going to have very much bad water coming through here, except in the worst of bad tide seasons. And kind of to the same degree over here, once we get these taken care of, is what it is. I do appreciate you guys always looking out for multiple things that we should and need to be doing. And I just appreciate your patience when I try to explain that I can't do absolutely everything, but I do appreciate your ideas. Regarding the district crossings, it's probably going to be, maybe not necessary, but probably going to be a good idea at some point to get the district's crossing staffed with biobeavers on both sides. But I don't want to do that until I can be absolutely sure that I can provide for biobeavers in this district, which at the time we are currently finding ourselves in, I just don't think it makes sense. So, what I'm going to do instead is modify the district crossing to not import things that keep biobeavers alive, including but not limited to anything relating to food. We just don't need to do it. It'll save us a little bit of labor on both sides and just, you know, not be quite as miserable. We do not need to import water because we can pump it from up there. Bad water I'm going to leave alone because, you know, we can make extract with that. But the rest of this we really should be importing, so I'm going to leave that alone. And then on the Beaverburg 35 side, importing, we really should be importing everything because the only stuff that's being made in this district are planks currently, and then wood when we get these oaks up and, oaks up and running, which at some point, hopefully soon-ish in this episode, maybe another, 7 days or so, we'll have some logs coming out of here. You already know, I don't have to say it, but I did want to address that because that does keep coming up. We have log storages over here that we are working toward. I think I talked about that last episode. It's possible I didn't, but I did want to make you guys, that's the wrong one, did want to make you guys aware that I am trying to make that happen. Just have to, let the beavers do what the beavers are going to do. And we'll get there when we get there. But that is on the list. Talked about putting the fluid dump in here. The aquifer upstairs. behind all of this, we peel this back a couple of layers. Yes, there is an aquifer spot here. We did blast out an opening with the hopes of putting one in. And that is still on my list of things to do. I don't have to explain what comes next. You already know how that sentence concludes, but we're going to do it eventually. Just have to get through a bunch of other stuff first. Yeah, but the main thing seems to be building bad water defense. And I know we've talked about a bunch of this. And again, it is what it is. We will get there. Reminder, again, I don't know how many times I'm going to have to, keep bringing it up, but this is not the same version of the map that Zedek is using. This is not the same version of the map that you have downloaded, most likely, if you're someone who's playing this. A lot has changed. So just because something has happened on your playthrough or anyone else's playthrough doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen here. So just keep that in mind. I do always appreciate warnings, but a lot of the stuff that people have said is going to happen hasn't really happened or hasn't been quite as bad. So I do know things have been changed. And it's helpful to be cautious, but some of this I think is probably just going to be fine. So, like I said, day 1, cycle 14, now that we are 12 minutes into this record, we can actually start going. We need to prioritize jobs better, which we did kind of discuss. We need to get more wood. We need to stabilize water pumping and have more storage, which we do need to be building more tanks. We really need these beavers to be pumping as much as possible early on, which I do think is going to have to be a priority for us in the crater. So currently, what I have enabled versus disabled is at an equilibrium for the beavers we have available. Power-wise, we are pretty much right at 100%. We're making a tiny bit more than we're currently using. The most important thing, of course, is that these aquifer drills are operating. And that they are. So we're looking okay. Last time we did get these things hooked up, connected a little bit better. Or maybe that was the time before that. I don't know. It all kind of runs together. But like I said, we really need to get power brought from this thing into the rest of this. It's not a huge, crazy pain in the butt. But it's still a pain in the butt. Just one of those things you have to keep going with. And I do need to make sure that I have enough planks. Remember, each platform is 6 planks. So if I have 60 planks, I can make 10 platforms. I'm going to need to build like 50 or 60 to get this connected. Not quite there yet. I think what might be a little more important is making sure that we can start pumping water from here, and we can start reliably farming more oak trees. And we do have a limited amount of bots. We do have one that is currently unemployed. Theoretically, that one's reserved for the forester that we are kind of using, but what I would like to do is get them started on pumping water. Even if it's not a ton of water, we can still make a pretty good difference if we just have it set as like an idle task. So I am going to put a deep water pump here. No, I do not have a storage really, but yeah, see, gears are still in pretty short supply. So what I will do is have that set there. I'm going to make this, like I said, a lower priority workplace. This is also a lower priority workplace, so this should be a slightly lower priority workplace than this. Unstable core in 0.2 days, we will watch that go off because I think that's kind of fun. But for the benefit of, the beavers coming in here, I will put this right here, and then I will put another small tank on this other side so they can just kind of transfer that, and this can be set to... actually, maybe I won't set it to supply, because then we're going to have beavers come around like, oh, we got to get everything up here to this thing. That's where it goes. Anyway, so no. I am very, very curious about this. So let's just see what happens when this thing goes off here at the top of day 2. Okay, so as expected, it's going to blow a big hole. Everything is going to start flowing in. Importantly, not crashing over here. I think probably a lot of this is going to be absorbed by this area. This has not gone into any other parts of the map, just so we're all on the same page. So I think... yeah, this... honestly... yeah, that's just going to slosh around a little bit, and then we'll have our regular flow come through here. Maybe the only major issue that I could see happening as a result of this is that more of this flow is going to come through here, which is going to spill into this area. And while that should be cause for concern, as it will come into here at some point. It is not the end of the world. There are going to be some underground areas that are going to be filled up. But, you know, that's the way it goes. There's a drain here. This will come through here. As a reminder, this has been sealed off, so this cannot get down into the crater from here. It's just going to make a little bit of a mess. And as we go about the rest of this playthrough, we will probably want to get this blocked off again. But, not the end of the world. Just, you know, an inconvenient thing, as many things are. Oh, they already built this. Okay, well, in that case, I was not expecting them to get that done that quick. Let's move that out. I've got a... Oh, do I not have a lumberjack flag over here except for that one? Doesn't seem like I do. Okay. Well, that's going to cause an interesting issue here. I'm going to have to, somewhere, build one of these things that can actually be accessed. The power shaft is really cramping our style. That's one of those things where I kind of wish I had put this... I mean, there's no way we could have done this at the time this was built, but I do kind of wish the power shaft was on top of this so I could just keep the pass on the ground. Is what it is. We have so many berries currently. We're very, very full. We're not even harvesting most of these, so I'm not really gonna, you know, lose any sleep over getting rid of 1 or 2 berries here and there. So, in the interest of trying to, you know, keep these guys around, I am going to go ahead and demolish some of these berries. Actually, you know what I should do? Okay, the gatherer flag can't even reach these to begin with, so let's be smart about this. Let's not demolish any more of these that are inside the range. We could also, you know, just move this, but for right now this is fine here. Yeah, so instead, I will get rid of those, and I guess, again, it's not really that big of a deal. We'll go ahead and take care of this. We're only using berries to keep the beavers in the buckets brewing, and currently we got, like I said, 400 something. We're not using them quick enough for this to be that big of an issue. Yeah. I don't think I need to elaborate any more on that. I will prioritize this one being removed so I can put in a platform, so I can put in a lumberjack so we can get this operating a little bit better. But I think they've already kind of made their way over here, which, you know, it's fine. This is still flowing here. Once again, this is coming into this area. This is... I can't click on this. Come on. Well, at some point I'm able to click on whatever this is in the middle here. It will drain. And then this will also drain into this cavern here, which does, at some point, get exploded further with the help of this unstable core, but it doesn't connect to anything else. So this is a problem. It is not a we're all going to die, the sky's falling problem. At least compared to most of our other stuff. Let's get this platform in place here, and then pump in a lumberjack flag. And because of the ledge logging mod, I will be able to log this from ideally down below or on top here, depending on the range of this lumberjack flag. And it does not seem... Yeah, okay, because there's the power shaft under there. That's not going to be... It's not going to be possible. Well, like I said, that's what this is for. Okay, oak trees in here. Mark these for cutting. They already are because somebody is a little overzealous. It's never happened before. That is marked for cutting. This is marked for planting. This is accessible for planting. You know the drill. I don't have to keep saying it, but we'll go ahead and put those in. This is, of course, on the list. The whole making... That's not the right building. The whole making explosives bit is happening slowly, 3 hours per explosive. Who is not working, and what can we make them do? I suppose power-wise, yeah. Oh, we're making plenty more now. But how much of that is just because... Oh, that's because the number cruncher's on because it's overnight, and these aren't staffed. That's fine. You know, we could have, instead of putting this number cruncher here, we could have put it over here on this disconnected one, but on a long enough timeline, everything's going to end up working out. It's going to be okay. Yeah, most important thing right now is getting water pumped, and now that this is deep enough, I think I'm going to turn on the rest of these pumps, pull these beavers out of their deprioritize jobs in the builders' huts, because that is always going to be something we can do. And continue getting more water pumped. We have a total capacity of 4410. In this district, we have a total capacity of 3150. It is going to behoove us strongly to get another large tank or 2 or 3 built. The issue remains gear supply. And right now, yeah, we talked about this before. This just really is not a great spot to be doing any of this. But what I can do to make this just slightly less terrible is, honestly, probably justifiable to put this as a regular levee to prevent that much evaporation from happening. But this area definitely could use another large tank. In fact, it could use 2, and if I put this one here, then I can upgrade this one when the time comes. So I'm just going to make these levees. Perfect idea? No, but it'll work. That'll keep those guys busy for a little bit. But yeah, one of the big things that's causing us a little bit, I mean, not really a problem, but a little bit of a frustration here is that these are not connected. So this will fill up, and I'll end up, you know, pausing these while this one is still nowhere close. So what's going to be the best way to do that? Because this is bad water. Obviously, we don't want that. I could send them through here. Of course, requiring the extract that we can't exactly get to. Oh, you know what? The tunnels are going to be useful enough for me to justify doing this anyway. Let's just see. Easy enough. I don't have a path coming that way. But it would be, you know, decently quick. Not, please note, not perfect, but decently quick to get us in here. I can put in a... Oh, no, I don't have spiral stairs. That's the other playthrough. I need the ladder to go in here. And this is always clean, so it should not be a problem. That should be easy enough. I just have to get the extract. Everything else we do make. All right, so getting into this thing here. The only way is to remove this natural overhang. Before we do, I want to make absolutely sure nothing bad is going to happen. Yeah, okay, there's nothing that can happen here. So that can be removed. We will also need to remove blockage. It's probably going to be a little quicker than thorns. That's fine. Build ourselves somewhat of an access path here, even if it's not perfect. And once this comes around, I am going to have to put stairs. Yeah, we talked about this. I don't need to exhaustively recreate absolutely everything from this, but that is going to be connected there. We're going to have to remove this blockage. We already talked about that. Get that in this direction. That's going to connect there. That's going to connect there. That's going to connect there. And then this, of course, will have to be stairs. Yep. So now I've got a flooded building who is flooded. This one, okay, we kind of already knew that. Set that to empty so we can reuse the flooded building warning. Yeah, like I said, flowing off the edge of the map. Alarm bells are going off, but they can be safely mostly ignored for the next little bit. This is going fine. I would love to have more bots. I would love to have more bio beavers, but as you know, we will just have to get there when we get there. We need more housing. We have 10 homeless beavers. Perfect location for this? No. But we have to have one, so we're going to put it in. Alright. Still making some sort of progress here, ever so slowly. We'll get that going. And there we go. Alright, so let's come over here. Put in stairs to get down. This one will also need to be stairs, and then that will connect all the way down to here. We've already marked... No, come on. Already marked this for removal. This is regular water. This is extract. I don't have anywhere else for the extract to go, so technically this is fine like that, but we do need to get that marked there. Just again, checking there's nothing in the way. Good. And getting in here is also going to allow us access to this pine resin, which we don't exactly need, but it's always nice to have. And 3, count them, 3 treated planks. We don't technically need those, but I am going to go ahead and get that connected, and then We could get this out here. I don't think we need to worry about that now, but I just know that is on the list of things for those beavers to do. Are we pumping? Oh, this is very full. I was going to automate this, and then I didn't because it was going to cause more problems if I automated it than if I just had it left alone. But this is fine, mostly. This is now pumping, like I said, baby steps. Baby steps. One of the other things that was requested and has been for a long time, tubeways. Just remember, tubeways take materials that we don't exactly have infinite quantities of. But we are going to use them at some point. Probably mostly vertical to get in and out of the crater, I think makes the most sense. Long distance transport to various areas up top here. It's going to have to be worth building based on frequency of use, just again because they're so expensive relative to what we have. But for sure, some sort of tubeway to get here to like here, I think makes sense, because we're going to be building a lot up here. Just have to be able to do it. How are we looking down here? This is getting very full. This has not been built because that is not a priority job. This is being, well, prioritized as it should be. Alright, let's get that on triple speed again. This will probably overflow or start overflowing at some point. This does not need to be unpaused. This should also be automated. That is a task I will not do right now because I will absolutely mess something else up if I take time to do that. We got clean water, we got dirty water. This guy now has nothing else to cut because somebody forgot to mark these for cutting. So appreciate you guys keeping me honest on that front. That's... no, they didn't cut that. Alright, but that can still reach all these that we need it to. That's fine. These are still paused for obvious reasons because there's poison in here, but we'll get around to it. Where was my... there it is. Just need to get that, and then I will need... ah! I didn't pay quite enough attention, but now that should be... yeah, that should be everything I need, assuming this is at the same level, and it is. Alright. So we will have to export the extract into this other district, which I will probably, for the sake of export ease, put right here. Just know that I know this isn't a great place for the tank long term, but just... okay, this is already flooding. Alright, come on. Come on. Yeah, see, that's what it is. I really would rather not have this be automated to turn off, and that's why the tunnels are going to be great, because that's going to equalize here, and then it will spill over into this backup area, and I guess by proxy over here. Just another thing we have to keep monitoring, because that is how that goes. Looks like they are starting to work on that, because they have the materials for it, and we should see in pretty short order some of these things being popped in. Obviously, it can't go off until the extract is there. And the extract will be showing up at some point as soon as they can get in here. I probably should just babysit this for a little bit. It says it's too far from a district and cannot be reached. If I thought they'd already... come on. Ah, okay, they hadn't finished this. They're waiting on 4 planks, which, you know, they do have. So that's fine. I guess we'll just... speed through the rest of this. I don't see any major fires that need to be put out. Okay, so that is connected. This is now accessible. They will make pretty short work of that. I just had to make sure that was all connected. And yeah, we're pumping okay here. And then once that comes in, this will be fine. It'll just take them a little bit of time to do it. Water pumping. This is now, come on, very full. Did I build a hauling post in this district? I didn't, did I? That was something that I said I was going to do, and then I did not do. So we need to mark that as a thing. I am going to make this a single worker thing, just to, you know, help speed things up. But we do need more beavers. We need more bots. You know the whole deal. Let's come down here. Are we going to have any... okay, we got 14%. And then we got 2 in the 20s. So we should be making another bot sometime soon. Thank you, caps lock key being weird. The main problem we're going to have is we don't have enough limbs, and I do hesitate to take power and labor away from what we're doing, but currently we're making way more power than we're using. So I'm going to turn the limb factory back on just for a moment here. Do we have... Okay, no extract there. Did we actually get these things removed? Okay, they are working on this. This is at 12%. Can we... Yeah, I guess we can't really make that much more progress on that right now because the bots are going to have to do what they have to do. Sure, that's fine, whatever. Just go back and forth between things. We're probably going to find out here on day 5 if we're going to have a drought or bad tide. If not, then for sure on day 6. Just want to make sure we're doing the best with what we have the ability to do when we can do it. Because I also need to send those bots up top to the area that detonated so that that is slightly less horrible. Okay, that's connected now. That's the important thing. Day 5, no warning, means we are going to get the full-length temperate cycle, which is very good news for us in terms of getting water pumped out. Yeah, see, this is nice and full here, and this cannot unfill because of the fill valve being the one-way thing. This continuing to pump is fine, but I do really want them to get all this out of here, which is why having the extra pumps in other places would be great. This isn't completely full. This basically is. This is not. Yeah, see, I just need to have a better, larger tank closer to these guys without it being this huge, crazy problem. So, this is basically always contaminated land, and I know we don't have a lot of planks right now, but it's going to probably make the most sense to put one of these here. Now, I don't expect them to build this before we have our drought or bad tide, but it's something that needs to be done. We can always move stuff later. It's not the end of the world. I am very curious. Okay, yeah, that's waiting on explosives and extract. We should have explosives. That is not something we should be lacking, but it appears we... because somebody decided it was more important to put dynamite on all of this stuff. Well, I'll let you guess who that was. But I will emergency prioritize this, because if we can have these connected before the water stops coming out, then we can get a lot more water brought over here. And not necessarily more importantly, but still importantly into this, which is going to keep this guy pumping. This is a decent amount of space that will evaporate quickly, but not before this can pump it out. So that is fine. Let's reprioritize, again, going back to the construction priority. Let's reprioritize these as a lower priority, which these already were. I forgot I hadn't done those. So that's something we can come back to. I really hope this is a drought, which of course means it's going to be a bad tide. You know how that works. But if it's a drought, we can come in here and start sealing some of that off. But this being a bad tide up here would, would pose some very inconvenient issues. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take what limited science I still have left. This triple platform is going to be faster to build. I think we are going to need to just make it a priority. Not necessarily the priority, but a priority to get this blocked off as reasonably quickly as possible. So that going there. See, this is going to be 10. So it actually, I don't really need to be penny pinching that much on this, but I need to be able to put in a block on this side of this thing and then on top of it. Or actually, the impermeable floor would be a better get, but I can put that there, I can put that there, and then I just have to come in from the side. And they can build through impermeable floors. We already knew that, so that's not going to be a problem. 10 plus 6 is actually the same as that, so that's fine. This does have to be, for the benefit of closing this in, a regular levee, and then what's going to fit in here? Come on, autosave. That is going to fit in there, and we know we can get this locked in like that. That can be another levee, and then on top of this we can have another impermeable floor. So that's going to completely enclose that thing. And then enclosing this, like I said, just is what it's going to be. This will look slightly better if I do this way. And wham bam, you're done. So, you may be asking, how are we going to get beavers to build this without becoming completely poisoned? That is a very good and valid question. From my understanding, the beavers cannot be poisoned by walking through falling water, but if they walk through pooled water, then, well, you know how that goes. So, I think what's going to make the most sense is, and I know this is a lot of platforms, but we do have to just get this done. So, I probably can actually just build this. Yeah, it's going to save me a few. I can build that right like there. If they start getting contaminated, then, well, we may still push through, because sometimes you gotta do stuff you're not comfortable with for the benefit of everybody. So this is going to be, you know, a very poisonous experience. But this should allow me to do what I need to do with minimal suffering. There's going to be suffering. That's just how this goes. But it doesn't have to be, you know, gratuitous. So let's put in plank storage. We will need log storage, and then we will need metal storage. So if we treat this as an emergency, depending on what we see on day 6, if it is a bad tide, this is an emergency to get this built. If it is not, then this can be deprioritized. But for right now, getting them started on this is probably fine. I know this is already a bigger priority. They just cannot get the extract because I do not suspect that this has been exported yet. I just need to check what's going on here. Oh, okay, I was waiting for them to get this hooked up. There we go. Now that can be removed. I suspect since there is demand in this district, that's going to push them to do that, but is what it is. Let's turn these back on, just because we have pumped a decent amount of that out. They've already filled that up halfway. That's good. This is waiting on gears. Yep, that's going to be the theme for at least a little bit of time. Let's get this on triple speed. And we're going to find out our fate here on day 6 in terms of what these beavers are going to be subjected to. Alright, well, that tears it. We gotta get this done. Got to get this done. So I'm not going to make this super crazy high priority because, obviously, but I am going to get the ladders built first. If I have them build these other structures first, then there's a chance they could become stranded down here. And I would really like for that not to be a thing. This is fine, mostly. I do need them to pump. I don't need anybody removed from pumping. This is, of course, waiting. I am going to have planks for these. They can't reach this yet. So that is, you know, one of the dangers of having to suddenly do this is that would happen. This area over here I'm not as worried about because of aforementioned reasons. This will be belching forth a lot of bad water, but remember we have a throttling valve on this, and a decent bit of that is going to end up flowing back this way and off the side of the map. Or if it gets just a tiny bit higher over here. If it gets any higher than this levee is, then, well, there's nothing else we can do about it because we'd have to build defense around the entire perimeter of the crater, which I probably shouldn't have to tell you is not a viable solution. Is what it is. We got anything else we can do here? They still have not logged this, which I did mark to be cut. So I'm wondering if ledge logging is actually not going to let me get away with this. It is possible that it's not going to want to do that because I don't see... We follow this guy around. I'm going to grab those oaks. This is going to overflow at some point, so I'm wondering if it just has a backlog of stuff to do and then it's going to go get that one, or if it can't actually reach it. Let's see what happens here. Okay. Acting like he's got nothing to do, which is unfortunate, but I guess I'm just going to have to mark this for demolition. So we have to be able to get in there. So they are working there. We don't have any beavers who are ill yet, which is always a good idea not to have that. Good. Good, good, good. They got their stuff. They got this ladder in. They got this platform in, which means they exploded. Not the beavers, the stuff. Then these are going to be connected, which should be just about in time to prevent this from being super over full. That'll help this out tremendously, help this out tremendously. We can put more pumps here if we were truly desperate. And I do see enough limbs to make this happen. Let's check our power. I don't have enough to turn this bot assembler on and to keep this factory on, so I'm going to pause that, and I'm going to unpause this. Because I should have exactly enough to make one more bot, and I don't have to tell you any more times than I already have how important that is. Okay, they're working on that. I can trust them to take care of that. Okay, so what did these goobers immediately do is they started building the stuff that I hadn't prioritized. So, yeah, whatever. These aren't being filled. I probably should go ahead and prioritize those. We do have haulers available. And let's do that. Yeah, beaver-wise, we do still have some slush available here, so we don't really need to be that worried. Bot heads being brought in, we know we do have that. I think it's going to be necessary to turn on another lumber mill. Now, do we have the logs to really be doing this? Not really. Okay, they got that taken care of. That's fine. This ladder is going to cost more than doing this, and I don't think that's going to be a problem. But this isn't for lumberjacks to be able to get over here. It is for the tapper's shack. So that is A-okay, just like that. These are not marked for cutting, except this one square, which no longer matters. We do have some trees still coming in. That is fine. Now, getting this blocked off in time for the bad tide is a little bit of a lofty ambition. But what I'm hoping we can also do is eventually extend this up here and force/encourage bad water to drain out this way. We'll obviously have to send someone up here to get rid of that natural dam. Or, actually, no, we just have to build up to the same height as this natural overhang, and that'll take care of it. But this is the foundation of that work. And this will allow us to get further up once we have additional ladders. You know how it is. I didn't build it with... Oh, that's flooding. I didn't build it with two ways because obviously that would take way too long. Just gotta do what we gotta do. Alright, did they build this all the way through yet? No, they did not. They're waiting on somebody to come explode this, and then they have more to put in. I'm hopeful they can get that done before the end of this pre-drought cycle. Pre-bad tide. Just to get that working the way we can do. Okay, I heard that explosion. That is a good sign. Continuing to work here is a good sign. No beavers unwell is a very good sign. Don't ask me why they don't get sick from standing in a waterfall and only in the pool at the bottom, but you know what? I'm not going to question it. We'll just let mechanistry cook on that one. How are we doing over here? We got any trees grown up yet? No, but we almost do. And you know what that means, is that it is time to get a lumberjack flag over here. I thought I already had one. This is already dead, so why don't I do... Yeah, I'll put that right there. These are marked for cutting. Obviously, it's not the biggest priority thing ever, but I know I've got one hauler here. Oh, this is deprioritized. That's going to be fine. That's going to be fine. Okay. Now, this is the one I am watching with great interest. Is what is going to happen? And is this going to be able to be finished before the end of this working day? I think they're just waiting on the extract, which is kind of a long trek. Someone's coming in with the extract. Come on, come on, set this thing off. Let's go. Let's go. There we go. Alright, so that is now connected. These will backflow. These will go ahead and get turned back on, which will get this filled up, which will let this overflow. That's looking good, and most importantly, we are not connected to the poison. I know that was a concern. Power-wise, we still getting 100%? We are not, actually. Let's pause the food factory. Because honestly, the output storage is full. This is at 54%, so we will pause that when the next bot is created. Now our attention turns to this. Very, very stressful project to have to do in 1.3 days. But I believe this is now worthy of making an emergency. Let's just get these set up. Hopefully nobody gets stranded. If they do get stranded, we can't save them. We just have to have this be the absolute utmost priority here in 1.2 days. I have how many builders? I've got 4. I've got 8. I've got 1 in here, so I have a total of 9. Is it going to be worth pulling beavers out of other jobs? I think the answer to that question has to be yes. So, we got tons of food. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the illegal thing of pausing farmhouses. Don't worry, we will unpause them. Gear-wise, the only thing we're using gears for right now is this large tank, which is currently so far away from being done, it has no hope before the start of the bad tide. That should, ideally, give me, yep, so now I've got 12. I've got 15 builders. That will really help. For one full day of work, 15 will help. And I could only get 1 more by pausing something else. I think I'll leave that alone. We got these guys as haulers will help as well. Yep, you know, that's fine, is what it is. So this is fully connected here. It should be equalizing. It might take a little bit of time. This actually might be restricting some of this from going in. No, it's going through. It's just that when this gets to the 1.95 depth, it is going to shut that gate, but I don't think that's going to happen as long as this can flow out here. So we'll just keep that in mind. All right, 1 day left. Can the beavers come over here and build all of this in only 16 working hours? Conventional wisdom says no because there's just a whole bunch of ladders, but if they can, you know, get multiple beavers working on multiple things at the same time as this starts diverging up here, then maybe we stand a decent chance. It is worth noting that even when these turn on, it's not going to actually be possible to poison beavers because there is no there's no flat space on which bad water can pool until they get to the levee here. And then on the level underneath this, it's not going to show me, of course, but this impermeable floor there. Let's see. Yeah, these are all operating. It's at 77%. These are still at 100%. Yep, this is still flowing through here. It's equalizing, and it is flowing into this as an overflow, so that is good. Yeah, I really wanted to get back in here to close this off before the next bad tide came in, but let's be honest, that wasn't going to happen. So we will have to wait again. Is what it is. I almost don't want to sit here and watch this, but you know, it's just the way it's going to be. I think given the severity of what is going to keep happening if we don't take care of this, and the fact that everything else is honestly looking pretty good, I think this is worth extending work hours for this day, at least a little bit, and we'll see what they can get into. I'm not super confident they can get too much more done with this, but every little bit helps. In the meantime, we've got water pumping up here. This can be unpaused. I should have unpaused this a long time ago, because I do want this to be as full as I possibly can. Yeah, so that's doing okay. Pumping from here obviously is, you know, maybe not my finest moment ever, but at least it's not pumping from here. And this is 2 full blocks deep. So we will see what happens. This is probably going to have a dump at some point, but again, this is just like an emergency backup water pump thing. 94%. You know what? They've actually gotten to the point where they can start building multiple things. Now, there is a possibility, depending on how they come in here to do this, if someone stands on this, because this is a flat spot, they could become contaminated. So we'll see. We also, since we have extract in limited quantities, we can research a decontamination pod. That is a possibility. I'm not going to do that until we need it. But yeah, this is potentially going to be a big deal for these beavers here. I'm thinking they might actually end up getting stuck on some of this. But what can you do? We already talked about it. I don't need to, you know, bore you to death with the same thing, so we'll just going to triple speed that. This is actually looking pretty good. Looking pretty good to have this set up like this with all this overflow. Not really feeling any sort of negative effects on that. So, 20-hour day, take this back down to 16. How long of a bad tide are we working with? 19 days. All right, well, this is about to get a whole lot more nasty over here, but we need to make absolutely sure we monitor the situation with this. Because this is now putting all that bad water out. This should still be the same amount, the 1.99 cubic meters per second. And yeah, it looks like that's just flowing through here, which is fine. We don't have any warnings for anything activating yet. This can go ahead and be connected here, and we have access to all of these logs, which is great. I'll go ahead and get that set to empty. So now these are drawing 0. 19 days honestly seems fine, but I want to, since we have 4,500, I'm going to pause most of this pumping. Try to get our beavers into other tasks. Let's actually hit pause. I don't have to be running around like idiots. That doesn't need to be staffed anymore. So that gives me a surplus of 4. See, up here, this is reasonably full. I am going to continue pumping from this because, obviously, and we'll just see if this dries out. But having the beavers starting to cut these trees down is good. We should also be replanting, so I will turn that back on. They'll pull from the builders. Most of what the builders are doing now is just clearing extra stuff that I had marked, but I don't think we actually have too much being cleared now. Yeah, the main thing these guys need to be doing now, getting planks, because that's going to allow me to connect not only this, but also this to this same power network. And that, folks, is going to be probably our biggest key to success. This has been diverted. Yep, it is certainly not spewing any nasty into there. That's fine. The flow from here hasn't changed, so this isn't that big of a deal to have this completely finished now. But we might as well go ahead and let them do it, because then we can get up here, probably within this same bad tide, and get this blocked off, which is going to cause this to go that way. I just want to double check. There's nowhere else this can go. No, not until we get... But that's already blocked off. Yeah, that's another one of those steps that's going to really help us out to stave off the impending doom. But now that we have this taken care of, let's unpause the farmhouses. That was always just going to be a temporary thing. Maybe worth turning these factories back on. I know that's going to cause injuries, but it's going to be okay. That should be fine. I probably should just keep building food storage, to be perfectly honest with you, because we keep growing corn we can't really use. Cassava growth and cassava processing has not really been that strong here. So that could also be part of the whole, hey, you need another farmhouse thing that I have so far not really followed up on. I do want to put another farmhouse in, but I thought this one right here would have been able to take care of it no problem, because basically it's all cassava, period, point blank, with a little bit of corn here. Well, we got time to figure it out. These trees are being poisoned, and they will not be able to be saved, which is truly unfortunate. I should have... oh, I didn't have the things anyway, but I should have maybe tried to push for irrigation barriers sooner. This is going to help make this slightly less terrible. As a reminder, this is a single tile exit to the edge of the map, and at some point this will be overwhelmed, so this is worth doing. Who has nothing to do in range? This guy. Alright, you can be paused. At some point we can maybe plant stuff here when this gets cleaned up, but I don't think that's a huge priority at the moment. That remains okay. Is the flow here approaching danger levels? Not really. Yeah, we're gonna be alright. The bots have a few more pressing things to deal with right now. This is still... Yep, that's working out okay. We got cutting happening. They are turning, with some degree of sloth, the logs into planks. So maybe it's worth... keep on looking at that, but maybe it's worth starting the process of getting power over here. So probably, you know, long term, the best thing is going to be to just clean cut all of this, exploit tunnels to get these pillars knocked down, and most importantly, figure out how we can do this without flooding everything with bad water. But as far as getting power connected, we don't have to really make it super crazy complicated, but just having something working right now is going to be better than nothing. So what I think is going to make the most sense is for us to build platforms first, and then on top of the platforms build pathing, and then underneath the platforms put in the power shafts, because this is eventually, maybe not on this level so much, but this is going to become flooded probably reasonably soon whenever this decides to go off, because that is blocking this giant source from getting up here. So maybe, honestly, maybe we don't need to worry about it that much. That's the constant thing, right? Is you got to do something, or you have to weigh the cost versus benefit of it, right? Economics, marginal utility, opportunity cost, whatever. I'm not super well-versed in most of that, but I do understand it enough to, you know, get myself into trouble, so that's usually what ends up happening with these. Regardless, for the time being, it's going to be faster for us to just build the power shafts above, for the most part. Now, getting up the side of a cliff or on top of stairs or whatever, that's going to be kind of annoying. But I don't really know of really any better way to do it than just setting like this. So, you know, it is what it is. And I hope you can understand that I just, at the end of the day, I just have to make a decision about what I'm doing with this. And it's very likely that you're not going to agree with my priorities, and that's fine. But I do have the responsibility of actually getting this to be a viable setup first, and a good setup second. So I think... Come on, autosave. With that in mind, I think they can reach just about all of this. Maybe not these here. That could be an issue. But we will see. I think they might be able to stand on the stairs and get these. If not, then... you know... I lied. I'm gonna have to do this the annoying way, because I really don't want to sit here and babysit this. Can't really afford to do that, because then I get distracted and no, I don't want to get rid of the stairs. No, 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 no. Do not get rid of the stairs. I want that to go away. So, because this is already here, I will just build platforms. And again, I don't really have enough planks to be doing this anyway, but I have to be able to actually do something. So, gonna let them start building here to here to here, and just work with it. So what is going to happen is this will eventually have to get replaced. It's hard to go up hills anyway. Just please bear with me. I know you can probably do it better. Please do, and let me know how it goes. Genuinely, I am so interested in how other people play this game. I wish I had more time to watch. That is what it is. So, wait, did they actually finish this? Almost. It looks like they might have. Is impermeable floors in place? Yeah, You know, they, those blasted beavers, they managed to do it. Now this is extremely ugly over here. But they, you know, they managed to do it, and there's only one beaver who's unwell. You are unwell. Well, you know what we can do is we can come over here to the well-being, 400 science. I will grant you the ability to heal yourself in exchange for your incredible contributions to the future of this colony. I'm just going to put that right there. They will fill it up, and that'll be fine to keep that beaver healthy. So we got 4 bots out of power because somebody doesn't have enough charging stations. I do have a charging station here, but it's going to have to be removed at some point so I can get the power up on top of this. Yeah, you know, I'm really not happy with this, but I don't think I have a better way to do it. Is what it is. How in the world am I going to get... I guess I have to wait for this to be completely built, or... Wait, do I have any bots here? I don't. Okay. I'm just going to have to... No, this can't be... This can't be that piece. This has to be... This has to be set like that. I hope you guys can understand like why I do this the way I do this for these videos is sometimes, you know, something that doesn't make sense to a lot of folks, but I promise you there is a valid reason why I'm reluctant to do certain things in certain ways, because it almost always ends up being massively more complicated than I really can process at one time. And it makes, shall we say, less compelling content when I'm trying to figure out the perfect solution versus one that will just work. But doing this way, I think, is going to allow... Because they can walk on top of this no problem. I just don't want them to be able to get down in here. Because this, like, this is the hardest part. That will connect there, then that will connect down here, and then to get down the space itself, I can do stairs like this. Yeah, you know, if I have this built like this, then I don't even need to worry about keeping the other stuff. Once again, I appreciate your patience. I know, my brain works differently from how yours does, and that is totally okay. I just have to be able to work within my means, or else stuff is going to be ludicrously bad. Alright, is this fully connected? Okay, that was the most important thing. This one here can actually be a vertical power shaft, because then I can rebuild the charging station on top of that, and that will be fine. Alright, that'll give the bots, you know, something to chew on, so to speak. I guess it's safe to just path this already, and then they can build all of that at the same time. Okie dokie then. We already talked about this. Next step in this process, of course, like I said, is to get up here and ideally not contaminate any more beavers, but I don't know that that's going to be, strictly speaking, possible. This can go here. This can go all the way across here, and then I can very, very simply plug this up. 12 logs versus 6 planks and a piece of metal. It may actually be faster to do this way. I'll just put that there, and then from this point on, it's going to have to be... Actually, this one doesn't need to be built. I just have to have the one in the middle, because this isn't going to... You know, it's going to block that off. Alright. I believe that will accomplish my goal. I just have to have them be able to get up higher. If I build this through here, they will be constantly going through bad water. So if I instead build this... No, not there. Instead I build this here, and then... I know this is stupid. It's going to be okay. Actually, no, that is... I always forget if this is a viable option. Well, that's going to be what we are going to attempt. We'll just say that. Yeah, okay. That can be the next fun thing they can take care of. This is fine. The one kind of not great thing about having both of these attached together is this does draw from all of this at the same time, and I've got these still operating, and I really should have turned them off. Yeah, I absolutely should have turned these off a long time ago. So that is what I will do. I'll just have these 4 operating. These are closer to where everybody is. And 17 days, this is going to evaporate anyway. I know I have this set here. Well, this will keep these irrigated. This will keep this irrigated. And if I don't pump anything else out from here, which after a certain point it won't be possible to, then that will be also fine. Oh, this is drying out. This was poisoned, so that's fine. This level is down because of how this was built, and that's fine. I need to get this back in. 200 beavers, 3 bots out of power. Really would like to have more bots just as soon as I possibly can. They're also using the planks. I've got a chassis, I've got 4 heads. Tell you what I don't need to do is I don't need to be making more bot heads right now. I really need the limbs, but the limbs take gears, and the gears are things that we're using, and I paused the gear factories because apparently I thought that was a smart thing to do. So let's move on from that. This is still fine. We're still pumping. We're gathering logs. We are making planks. Not especially quickly, but it seems to be going okay. They are working on this. At some point, yes, this will have to be dealt with in a different way, but this is just the best way to get this operating now. The best way that I know of within my means. Now, what else should we improve during this? I truthfully am not exactly sure. We don't have any warnings for more badtide stuff, or bad water sources, badtide drains, explodey things. So in that regard, I think we are probably safe for rest of this episode, rest of this badtide, whichever one comes first. But we do need to make some sort of priority to get over here and, you know, seal this back off again at some point. And then at some other point deal with this. Just trying to get as much of this done as we can reasonably. Now, this area through here, having the paths on top of the things is important. This area up here, not nearly as much. It is not going to be as big of a deal for us to get this area cleared out and just run them on the surface. I shouldn't say deeply unconcerned, because that is not necessarily accurate. But I will say I am less concerned. So, recognizing that we should be optimizing where we can, I will start this. And I will run this on the ground, again, where I can, because, honestly, it just makes more sense to do that way. And in areas where I do have to have, well, have to is a strong word, but in areas where I do need to have power shafts on the bottom, paths on top, we'll do that. But I don't think it makes sense to stack it all the way over here when we have other land we can do stuff with. This dirt pile is in a very inconvenient location, so guess what we're going to do? We're going to move it. We're going to get rid of that. I'm going to have this set up so I can start relocating paths and keep this slightly less stupid looking. Because this can come up to the top here. This is already a vertical power shaft. I didn't necessarily have to do that way. But again, for the sake of what we're attempting to do, sometimes efficiency is not the most important thing. Just got to let these guys do what they've got to do. So we're going to leave them alone for that. This project, however, is going to make a big improvement on this area over here. And in fact, we can check to see if anything else drains into this. It doesn't look like it does. So if we completely, quote-unquote, completely defeat this area over here in terms of bad water, that's going to open up a lot of opportunities to try and green more of the crater, grow more stuff, even though we're not using everything we're growing right now. Or, possibly the better policy, just forget about this side of the map for a moment and work on other things. So I'm going to leave them to that. I will have to put in more stuff at some point, but probably right now the more important thing is trying to make progress with this. And then honestly, you know, we may not end up having a super long episode because you don't really have to do it just because it's there, and you don't have to spend all the time just because it's allotted to you. Sometimes having something concrete accomplished and it being a shorter thing is better than trying to extend runtime because you told people you're going to extend runtime, because now this is a 2-episode-a-week series instead of 3. But I'd rather not just be fumbling around looking for, you know, ways to utilize time than doing it the other way around. I realize this is not connected. Let's fix that. So yeah, that's the long and short of it. Just trying to do the best I can with what I got without making too many dumb mistakes along the way. I know I said I'm just going to leave these guys alone, but honestly, this is really fascinating. And I'm invested now. You know, I think this is kind of a fun thing. This is going to probably poison at least one more beaver before this is done. But my reasoning behind doing this first, one, I have to have that done before I put anything here. But then I can get this taken care of, and then I put this one in here, and then it poisons maybe a few slightly less beavers than it would otherwise. I don't know. I don't even know if that makes sense. Once again, I am, to a certain extent, to borrow a term from the youths, fighting for my life with this playthrough a whole lot. I just want it to be good, you know? And I don't want it to be one of those things where someone watches this and thinks, oh, this kind of sucks. This guy doesn't know what he's doing, which sometimes that's a valid criticism. I will accept that. But I don't want that to be because of, you know, me trying to do too much. Get this dynamite popped in. We can explode this down. Maybe think about reorganizing paths and reorganizing where the farms go. Again, not a crazy huge priority at the moment, but it is something we do need to do. Let's get that blocked off. Okay, for kaboom! Boy, was that a satisfying sound. So that has given us a lot of extra space here, and since this is currently irrigated, it would not be a bad idea to start moving some of this, especially the corn over here. That would give us a little bit more space for maybe water storage or other things on this side. That's probably at this point another thing to do next episode. Is this done? This would be a great thing to go ahead and take care of. Okay, for kaboom. Love to see that. Now let's check the range. Beautiful. That is tremendously helpful. I'm going to relocate this lumberjack flag to be just outside of this buildable area. Yeah, I think that is going to make the most sense. Bring this out to here. This can still reach a decent amount of stuff. I see I have one contaminated beaver. Did they get in the tub? They have not built the tub. The tub... Oh, no, the tub's waiting on gears, and somebody's not making enough gears. Okay, well, if this is a priority, they're going to put those 5 in there. This poor beaver is going to be contaminated for quite some time, though, and that is unfortunate. Well, let's go ahead and get these trees planted. We already know that guy can do what he's got to do. This guy is getting pine resin from there, which was the goal the entire time. And once this no longer has bad water coming through it, we can plant some more trees, maybe redo this to have a slightly shorter path coming this way. So much to do. So much to see, back streets, etc. That song is like 20-something years old now. No, more than that. It's like almost, it's like 25 or 30. Yikes. Anyway, this is doing something. You know what? I just realized this is only making 400 and the demand is 625 because I got this number cruncher running over here. Which means this is only running at 64%. Well, we're not out of planks yet, so I guess that's not a huge deal. I do need to check on this absolute disaster over here. Okay, that is... Ha! Gears! Of course. Well, you know, we have the technology. We can put a gear workshop in here. We probably should have done that a long time ago, and I know for a fact somebody left that as a comment, so there you go. We're making gears. Eventually. Yeah, just... got a lot going on, and it's not always easy to make it work. But I will always promise that I'll do my best. Even if my best isn't very good. This is still waiting on gears. These are actually supplied with planks, but we only have 11 planks. Now, granted, a lot of our planks have been used for this. So, you know, as well as I do, that is just kind of is what it is. So why don't we... See, this is... Oh, good. Oh, they haven't started. That's just what that looks like. I don't want to prioritize this necessarily super because it's not a priority. Getting the beaver decontaminated, that's a priority. So I'm going to mildly prioritize this levee. You know, I'm just gonna have all those, because I'm pretty sure they can stand on this bridge and still make that. If not, then, well, that'll be an interesting problem to solve when that comes up. But for the most part, I think this is okay. Triple speed, triple speed. Come on. Nothing to do in range. We got that much out of here already? Okay. That is, I guess, a good problem to have. Let's move this in. Get these guys access to a little bit more of this area. And this scavenger flag could probably be moved a lot further in. I'm going to put... so they can actually reach all of this. Okay, I do need to put that there. Well, that's fine. I'll just remove that. That was already empty. That's fine. We have regular planks in here. That'll be a welcome thing. Treated planks back here if we ever get there. Alright. Now it's my hope that they finish this one first, and they should. It looks like they might. Alright. Things are looking okay. I have somehow still a single limb up. Yep, because that's waiting on gears. I actually am going to go ahead and pause that, even though we have extra gears, because I do not want the gears of the planks to be used for that first. But it does need to happen, just so we're all on the same page. I am aware of that. Any progress made on this? Not especially, because they are waiting for gears. Who'd have thunk it? This is... oh, that's still not empty yet. Well, they can only do what they can only do. And I do think it's probably a little bit more important than doing that most of the rest of the way. Yeah, getting this connected, you know, in theory it's not difficult, but always ends up being one of those things that because of the geography of the map ends up being a problem. Planks, I've got 100, and how many of those are in this district? 73. Alright. The way that this is going, I can probably, for the most part, straight line a lot of this, but I'm not going to be able to do all of it. And there's nothing else here I need to connect to. So I have to wonder if it's going to be better to go across here. I come out the backside of this. The hardest part would be getting across here, but honestly it would not be very difficult. We would just have to get overhangs unlocked. And then, you know, honestly, that might be the easiest thing to do. I'm going to start marking these for demolition, and then I suppose you guys can let me know your thoughts about that. I'm going to have this come across straight. Honestly, it's going to be cheaper to come through here, even with also removing that. I'll just make a ground level thing. That's going to be the easiest, cheapest, fastest. Maybe not the best, as I've said, but that'll be fine. Canola oil we don't have anything to do with yet. We can, should we choose to do so. I'm not going to say that's a crazy huge priority at this moment in time, but it is going to be something we do need to do at some point. And then getting this across with trees down here is a little bit of an annoying thing, but we have 1300 science, and honestly, we probably should have unlocked these a long time ago. Coming across this way is going to require fewer interactions with trees down at annoying places, so why don't we yeah, unlock that. Put in... ooh. Well, 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 how the turntables. This is going to cause a problem because I didn't check my my levels here. Well, you know, we can use those for other things too, so it's not that big of a deal, but man, I wish I would have just, wish I would have just done the 5x1. I don't know that I can actually... Yeah, I can't research any of these because I don't have enough science anymore. That's a bummer. That is, in fact, a bummer. Let's stop hissing like a snake. I know. Again, just please know that I am trying. Even if it isn't always obvious. That is the best I can do in this... No, I don't need to demolish this. I just need it to be not quite as big of a pain in the butt. That's going to have to go away. That's not necessarily going to have to go away, but it'll be cleaner if it does. No, I'm going to choose not to worry about that quite so much. I'm just going to build segments of this so that I, one, do not forget exactly what it is I have told myself I'm going to do, and two, maintain access to a bunch of these spaces. Hopefully that is enough of a reminder that I will not be in huge trouble for doing anything else. And of course, I can hopefully rely on you guys to keep me honest about this. This is just going to be so much quicker to do it this way versus going all the way around all this mess. This is still not empty. Sheesh. See, this is why I didn't want to commit to doing this in one episode, because that was just going to cause a lot of issues. This is actually almost done, and that is going to require a little bit of monitoring when that does get finished. I think after this I will go ahead and end this episode. I just want to make sure I get some tangible progress that I can say, you know what, we can stick a fork in that one for the time being, and then move on. Alright, so this has now been completely blocked off, which is great, but the bigger concern is how this reacts. I don't think this is strong enough to really cause issues, and this is, once again, a natural dam, not a blockage, and it can, in fact, go past it. It just has to fill this up a little bit more. So that's really good. I feel pretty happy about that. Once again, this is a mess. I understand, but we are working on it. We are doing our best. And we are, you know, honestly making some pretty good progress. I can't really be too upset about it. So, now that we have that taken care of, I do still think I need to prioritize making gears for the power shafts over there to get everything connected while we have the opportunity to, but we do need to get more bots going whenever we can. Yeah, but that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. I really appreciate you guys keeping me honest with this playthrough, giving me feedback, helpful ideas, and so on and so forth. Cannot do it, legitimately cannot do it without the support of the beard boosters subsidizing things, so that I don't have to have sponsors. I don't have to try to sell you garbage you don't want or need. And most importantly, we can do these videos the way that we want to do them. With the only outside influence, I guess, being you guys who are also supporting the channel in the process. So that means a whole lot to me, and I truly, truly mean it. Like I said earlier, this is going to be 2 episodes a week for the foreseeable future, most likely Tuesdays and Saturdays, while I attempt to get back on track with some other stuff like the Project 1K playthrough. Yes, that has not been abandoned. I just have not had time to do anything on it because of how much time and effort this playthrough and the Water Beavers at the same time have demanded. But now that these are both established, putting both of those on 2 days a week is going to make more stuff possible. Returning to Roller Coaster Tycoon and all that other stuff, and more live streams. So, I appreciate you. I can never say it enough. Just please know, I really, really value you guys and your input, and the community that we have forged together. It means a lot to me, and I hope you'll stick around as we continue doing what we're doing here. But that's all I got for this one. Whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you again in this playthrough on Saturday and for other stuff sometime soon. Take care. Bye-bye.